I'll be right back. So probably most of you are really disappointed that I didn't post my third part on the small dust collector build series, but there's a reason. So the simple reason for that is that I ran out of plywood. Of course I have some more, but it's just not big enough. And I already ordered a new sheet, but it didn't arrive yet. So it should have arrived on Monday, but it didn't. Then it should have arrived on Thursday, but it didn't. So now I just have to wait for that plywood. All the other stuff I already have. And so I hope it will arrive this Monday, but we'll see. So in the meantime, let's have another look at this puppy here that I already built. So in my last video I built this blower and of course got some questions about it. Not too many, but I hope I can answer the few I got. So one of the questions was if I wouldn't overload the motor because it's only rated at 1000 watts and like now draws about 950 watts, and the question there was then if it draws more when it's under load. But the thing with these blowers is that they are always under load except when the intake is blocked. Let me demonstrate that.
So in this example the blower just blows without restriction and draws about 980 watts. But if you restrict airflow by, for example, blocking the inlet, the power consumption drops by a lot to about 400 watts.
And the reason for that is pretty simple. When the intake is open, there's always new air coming in and the blower has to accelerate it and blow it out here. And that takes a lot of power. But when the intake is covered, there's only the air that's already inside the blower housing that needs to be accelerated. And once that air is up to speed, the blower has to do not much work anymore because the air is already up to speed. And so the power consumption drops. Another thing that some people mentioned is that the gap between the blower housing wall here and the impeller is too big, but that is for a good reason. So it is true that when the impeller is closer to that wall here, then it's a little bit more efficient and would draw less power from the wall. But what that would also do is increasing the noise level by a lot. I first noticed that when I built a new impeller for my big dust collector blower, and this impeller was way oversized for this blower housing, and the gap was so small and the noise then was just so loud it was even uncomfortable with earmuffs. So to not run into this problem with this blower, I decided a bigger gap, and I also did some tests to figure out how big this gap should be.
I let the impeller span in free air and hold a piece close to the edge. Once I got too close, it made a really loud noise. But with a bigger distance, the noise didn't appear.
I also put this wire screen over the intake to protect the impeller from some bigger pieces like these ones. But as it turns out, that's not only protection for the impeller, that's also protection for yourself, because when you like testing the suction with your hand, you can't accidentally stick your hand into it, or maybe your hand is sucked in and then, well, disaster. So, also safety feature.
My t-shirt here would be another example.
What I think I forgot to mention in the build video is how easy it was to work with this clear plastic stuff. It was really easy to wrap it around and yeah, just really user-friendly. And it also bends really much. The other cool thing is that it doesn't break. As hard as you try, it won't break, it only bends. It's also really cool. And it also makes for an ultra smooth surface. And did I mention that it looks pretty badass? In comparison to my other big blower, I think this looks much nicer. And it's also a pretty powerful hairdryer.
You can also do some other cool stuff with a powerful blower like this. Alright, but now let's move on to another topic.
Dan, we really like to eat hot, and by we I mean me and my parents. So we came along this hot sausage, and I would say it has probably something between 1 and 2 million Scoville. It's just really hot. And because of that, I thought this little bottle needs some kind of warning sign on it. So I came up with a design, little skull, and the words are German, but in English they just mean very hot. And I want to draw this design on the bottle with this pen here and my CNC. So first of all I need to mount the pen on the spindle, and that's pretty simple, just tape. The bottle itself just gets attached with double-sided tape. Then I have to make sure that the surface is clean, so I wipe it with alcohol. I also have to make sure that the pen writes, so just before I hit the surface I trace a few lines on paper. Okay, it came out pretty good on the first try, but I'm not super happy with the black. It's just not black enough, if you know what I mean. So then I looked for some different pens that I could use. This one right here is this pen, and it looks really good, but it's non-permanent, and I used it for just all the test runs. These two markers are this and this color, and they are also not that black. Only the one in the middle is just perfect, and it's a adding marker which I already installed. So now I just have to clean the bottle and then make a second run. Okay, and that's what it looks like now. In my opinion, much better. Cheers. No, I'm not gonna do that. That's enough. Wow. It really is hot. And then a rather simple project. So my sister asked me if I could make her a bench. Not a full-sized one, but just a model of a full-sized one that she wants to use for some decoration. I don't really know. I just made the bench now. So the full-sized bench uses logs. I use a piece of dowel. And I would say that the part where you sit on is about 3 times as long as 1 foot. And I want to make the whole model out of just this one piece of dowel, so I have to cut it accordingly. I know that I have to divide the dowel into 5 sections. This section is a foot, this section is a foot, and these 3 sections are the sitting area, which are 3 times as long as 1 foot. And I just have to use the same logic to cut up this dowel. And here it is, all done. I'm kind of proud on my precision 90-degree angle here. Not too bad. So, and that's pretty much everything I got this time. And I have to end the video now because, well, you see. I'll be right back. And once that's up to speed, it draws muslage. Yeah, genau. I also put on this wire screen to protect. I also